So our workshop today is basically divided into two parts. In the first, you will be introduced to the test before, invest, and demo day services and the methodologies in general, as well as get to know several organizations and also projects implementing this approach already. So here our experts will share their experiences and perspectives, and you will be able to ask your questions after the talks. And then in the second part of the workshop, we will be a bit more interactive because we will get together in smaller groups in a co-design session to really answer the question, how can test before invest methodologies be enhanced to improve outcomes, overcome the key challenges, and foster the long-term impact? So basically, we would also want to get your ideas on what works great so far and what could be also enhanced to really serve the users better. And then at the end, the results of the group will be presented by our moderators to the entire audience again, and then we'll just have a quick summary of the workshop. So before I will give the floor to our first speaker, I would also like to introduce you to the ShiftHub project and basically our community. Because like the ShiftHub project, or one of the services that our hub is providing is to bring this capacity building workshops to you. And basically, ShiftUp is a European coordination support action that is funded by the European Commission with almost €2 million. And with this funding, we are focusing on creating a smart health innovations and futures technologies hub across Europe. And when I say we, I'm referring to our 12 partners from 7 different countries in the consortium, which basically represent important stakeholders and expertise within the smart health ecosystem. So we're able to really deliver high quality services to the users. And together we're working towards our main goal, which is to facilitate the development, ensure the promotion, and then finally foster the uptake of the smart health technologies and services in the market or by the users. So basically, our hub is providing services for all the stakeholders in the smart health innovation ecosystem. And this, of course, includes first and foremost the citizens and patients, as well as the healthcare professionals, but also the smart health technology developers and policy as well as decision makers. And just to give you a short overview about the services that the hub is providing, so they can be basically centered around 3 pillars, which represent key values that were designed to meet the needs of the stakeholders. And these 3 are either to build and boost your innovation, to connect and thrive collaboration, and to learn and grow your knowledge. So basically, whatever it is you're looking for in value, you can find respective services listed on our website. Just as a really quick overview about the first pillar, so in the build and boost pillar, we have all the services to support the development and the uptake of smart health products, which are services rather directed towards technology providers and developers. So these range from generating new ideas in open innovation workshops, over finding the right partners and finance access, to really showcasing the developed solutions, for example, in our demo days. So with the services here, we basically want to cover the entire pathway of app development and providing support for that. In the second pillar, which is the Connect and Thrive pillar, I'm sorry, we have all the services to really foster collaborations and exchange among the stakeholders, as well as to build and support the smart health community in Europe. So we want to build a community and bring the stakeholders together. And we do this by our community platform, which hosts several online events, such as the workshops, matchmaking opportunities, or today's capacity building workshop series. So if you're registered for that workshop today, you have set up a profile in our community platform. So I encourage everyone to check out the different sections there, the marketplace, for example, or another key initiative, which is our focus group on eHealth. So that is also represented in our community. And this focus group is basically a vibrant network of experts, which is dedicated to advancing digital health and to create results and policy positions to inform decision shaping in the European smart health sector. We also organize international conferences to connect the stakeholders. Just 2 weeks ago, we had our 3rd conference in Thessaloniki with over 250 attendees, which was also a great success. And then we also implement events such as our entrepreneurial discovery workshop series, in which we identify and compare the chances, barriers, and structures between regional innovation ecosystem, with the aim to really involve policymakers and to create recommendations that enable more informed decision making. And just as a side note, we actually only published our policy recommendations recently that were drawn from these events, and they can be found on our website. So I encourage you to have a look at that if you're interested in getting to know more about the needs of regional innovation ecosystems and how they can be supported better. And the last pillar, which is the learn and grow pillar, we focus on services to really foster the exchange and of knowledges and best practices. So here some services focus rather on citizens and or healthcare professionals, such as our educational resources on smart health and digital applications. So here we offer a collection of educational courses and material, aiming to increase the trust and improve the literacy for patients and citizens, but also for healthcare professionals in using smart health applications. We also provide a gamified user journey here, which is built on 5 mini games on different healthcare aspects and diseases to increase the population's knowledge on health-related matters. So they can also be tried and played basically on the mobile phone or the website. And then also finally, our capacity building workshops here, they, on the other hand, focus more on the exchange of professional ecosystem stakeholders to really facilitate the knowledge exchange and best practice sharing on certain topics, as in today's workshop we do on the test before invest strategies. So this is just a very short overview about the network and the service offer of ShiftHub. If you're interested in getting to know more about the services, I invite you to visit our project website. But now, without any further ado, I would like to start with our capacity building workshop today on test before invest strategies and demo day methodologies. And for that, I would like to welcome our first speaker, which is Adamantios Koumpis. Adamantios is a teaching and research officer at the Institute of Biomedical Informatics at the University Hospital of Cologne. He brings extensive experience in AI integration for healthcare, bridging here academic research with industry expertise from his work at different institutions, including the University of Passau or Alltech Software, as well as the Digital Enterprise Research Institute in Ireland. He has also a strong background track record in research strategies, fundraising, and fostering collaborations with European industry, which is making him uniquely positioned to connect the methodological insights with practical implementations. And in today's session, he will share the key methodological insights from the ShiftHub demo days and illustrate how these have been used by us as a strategic tool to support the innovation and the decision-making in our smart health ecosystem. So Adamantios, the stage is yours.
Thanks, Alina, and thanks for presenting me and making me appear more exciting than I think I am. On the other hand, what I took care is to keep it short. So in the beginning, I don't want to make anyone feel afraid. I had 35 slides and I reduced them into 10 slides only, including one cover slide. And I had some good reason for this. I will mention it later on. So I will now share my screen with you.
Thanks, sounds good.
So just one moment. Yeah. Okay. So now it should work. Yeah, and you see the screen. So the title is about demo days as a strategic tool, and it looks very impressive and very, exciting. And here, what I would like to share with you, because the nature of today's event is not to praise ourselves, but to gain also something from the interaction with you, because it's a workshop, is to provide you some hints about the back of the book story and what was the context there. And first of all, we all face this obsession with success, that researchers and scientists engaged in innovation projects and research projects are eager to report on success stories, especially when the latter may strongly affect their future careers and fundraising paths and options for becoming successful, even if they would need to fake success. And the idea now is that before a success actually happens, there may have been several failures. And this is in many cases that we are afraid of failing. So we would all like to succeed, coming up with a super concept that becomes viral or has acceptance by many people, and many people, maybe not dozens of people, but hundreds or even thousands of people. And now the thing is that the application field of ShiftHub project has been very relevant to us, the team of the Institute of Biomedical Informatics, which at that time we were a startup institute because the institute was established in 2021 in May. So it was really very relevant. I mention this because if something is marginally relevant to someone's activities, then they might only do everything during the project lifetime, and they might not spend some added value of time or effort for continuity. So at that time, as I say, we saw the potential and the opportunities related to the project, but also to specific tasks that we have been assigned. What demo days were about? First of all, their demo day was not ours. So it was something that Paul Stefanat from Booster Labs came up with. And the same also, it was not our idea to have this task of organizing demo days assigned to us. So again, we had been assigned this term that appeared as part of our contractual obligation. Same like as many other tasks. The thing is that at some point, we identified that this task of organizing, designing and organizing demo days was something that was very close to our core orientation, because entrepreneurship and support of entrepreneurship, the area of health techs and medtechs, is very close to our agenda as an institute. So at that time, we needed some time to understand, as I put it in bold, what we should do with this task. How should we approach the demo days? How should we organize them? How to position them within the project? So we had lots of unknowns. And at that time, several other things were subject of discussion. People were trying to define many things, methodologies, concepts, process flows, and the liberty that we took, and now I speak in first person plural, but I mean personally, me. So the liberty I took and the risk was that I preferred to try something out that might not necessarily be very related to what was expected or planned to happen in the project, caring more about the continuity, the legacy, and the value than about meeting KPIs that we had promised there. And as you know, Camel is a horse designed by a committee. So sometimes if you have lots of people discussing and trying to find compromise about tasks, it's not necessarily that the end result will be very, very nice looking. Though I understand there that camels may be same cute as horses, but the idea of camel is a horse designed by a committee means that actually the end result may not be as convincing as it has been planned or aimed to be. And after some time of reflection, we saw that there were two options available to us. So we either organize the demo days in a way to cope with the contractual obligation and so that we meet the corresponding KPIs. So how many demo days should we have organized, how many people should have attended, and that's all. Or we try to take ownership and have skin in the game regarding the demo days, and we did the second. And I think that this is the reason that we are here today. So, however, we hated the idea to organize events, attracting people's attention and having visibility, posting and sharing photos in LinkedIn, while lacking on substance. So what we did was to understand the need for a modality that would allow the people who build solutions, products, services, or work on some concepts, research ideas, or are currently developing prototype of what would potentially become a solution or a product, and try to give them an opportunity to present this. So this is actually what demo days are about. So it's not about pitching, it's not about presenting big ideas, it's about trying to provide a context to these ideas or to solutions, technologies that people are building either from research or academia or industry, or this gray area that is about people who are completing their cycle in academia and they're preparing for a career in industry, and they might like to test the waters with their startup, or people who have been working very consistently and with high level of commitment in a research project that might be their PhD thesis, but this is quite mature to be transformed into a product or a service if conditions, favorable conditions might apply, which usually means funding, but it may also mean commitment to walk the extra miles from some lower technology readiness level to a higher technology readiness level. So this is now not new at all. Actually, TEDx talks were based on this process and other modalities like science labs or hackathons. By the way, the thing is that we face in many cases that people understand a workshop as a podium for a TEDx talk, which may not necessarily be what the organizers expect, or they might organize a science slam that might look like a hackathon and vice versa. So what I understand is that there is much confusion about terms. So from our side, we didn't care to present or promote demo days as something totally new. So if someone might like to understand that, okay, what you understand as demo days could be part of a science slam or a hackathon, we wouldn't care at all. But what we care is that people come with some specific solution or product or idea or concept, and they try to demonstrate the idea and the concept. So it's out of question to make elevator pitches about the huge potential in markets or the business maturity of something. So it's only about the core substance that they have to offer, and then it's up to the participants to think about the value, the utility that this concept or idea or solution or technology can offer in a given context. And the given context may be either support for entrepreneurship or collaboration in a joint research proposal. So it's not part of the presenters to define the context of what will happen next. From their side, they have to care to demonstrate something very specific. So here, the interactive part was that I would ask you if you see any problem about these settings, that there are many modalities or so-called modalities. On the other hand, from our side, we had this orientation to demand from the people to present something specific and not make a pitch or elaborate about business, markets, opportunities, or make talks about the challenges of AI or the challenge of generative AI or whatever. But as long as I don't see anyone wanting to comment, I continue. And as I said, our wish was to attribute to demo day some meaning and substance that would outlive the lifetime of the ShiftHub project. so that it would eventually become part of the project legacy, and for us, Ecolon, a tangible, exploitable item. So something that would outlive the lifetime of the project. And a key concept is to cease to believe. So this is of core importance for demo day success. And even if a technology or a system is still at an early phase of its development life cycle, with what one would call a low or a relatively low technology readiness level like 2 or 3, there is need to demonstrate something that feels as specific and tangible, providing a lead to its users in a given context. And stories are important, but they should accompany something specific, something that an investor might be seriously motivated to finance, but also in case, for instance, that the aim is to attract interest of some people who will build a future proposal. Again, these people will invest time, and as we know, time is money. So the idea is to speak about something that can be the start of a new venture, a research venture or commercial venture. So, any mistakes from our side? I think that we have overestimated the commitment of the individuals or the teams. This is something that one might not expect to see when someone presents a success story, but I have to share with you that in certain cases, teams that took part in our demo days and which were very good, so they had substance, they had commitment and orientation at the time that we organized the events with them. After some time, the team fell apart. So, but this is a very natural thing to happen, especially in startup activities, that you have a team, they are committed, they perform for 1 year or for more than 1 year, and then at some point, one of the 3 people finds a normal job in industry, or there are some other issues, and then they disappear. So this is something that, for me, I don't know how we can improve this so that we don't invest time on presenters that they might not care to continue with us. But this is also something that actually is a unique element of the project, is that the idea is that we had certain modalities like demo days, like living labs, and then we were investing and spending time on them so that we might come up with success stories sooner or later. So if some of these investments will not pay off, it's also part of the game. On the other hand, it's not something that we would have liked to happen again. So this overestimated commitment on individuals or teams is something that we might for sure need to reduce in the future. And sometimes we have been able to see the signs of dysfunctions yet to come and failures early on. But in order to have a good show, we closed our eyes. So this is, again, as you see, that even though we try to do something different, we actually had also to meet these contractual obligations about KPIs and about pretending success to be, though we have seen these signs of dysfunctionality or a failure even to come. And some stories to share here. I can provide you only with 2 stories. I will not enter into details with the names, but there was one startup. We had been supporting them in many different ways, and also we had them being part of 2 demo days. And then after some time, we understood that there were some changes in the management and in the leadership, and then we stopped being at all in contact with them. So from our side, this was an investment, so we may have liked to include them as a success story of the project of ShiftHub, but it's not anymore the case. The other comes from a recent case, so we didn't spend or invest or waste much time on them, but we had a meeting in Bucharest. We had many potential success stories coming out of these, with one of them that we focused on them and which seemed like a safe bet. They again stopped operations. So again, something that we spent or plan to spend some time on didn't continue. So this means that at the end, we see that for demo days, one has to plan for 100 presenters, but be sure that only 10 of them will be the ones that will continue, so that they will be part of a potential future success story. While from our side, we had an idea that we would select 10 and we would work with these 10. But it seems that this is a very high risk scenario. And some practical information on the demo day modality. They take place online. Actually, for the project, we had also organized physical, so on-site demo days, but they were mainly part of the usual business of a project to have events, shoot some photos, meet the KPIs. So they were rather more concerned about meeting the obligations than building a continuity out of these events. Of course, this is very welcome, and no one would disallow from our side that demo days can be organized as a physical event, but the idea is to have them as an online event so that one keeps the costs low and have the ability to organize them with no care to exceed the project budget. So what I mean is that if we had chosen to organize demo days as physical events, they would be out of question to keep them organizing in the future. While now we found a modality, the online modality, as a good enough solution so that there will be continuity even after the project will end. And though they take place online, they are still associated with a different place each time. So as of now, we organized the demo day at Cologne, at Leipzig, and Berlin. And this local host organization takes care to set out the agenda and helps choosing the focus area and the respective participants. And some other practical information that they take place on, no, I'm playing the same slide. So the next one is on the 4th of November. And if you just send us in your emails, we may send you the invitation, or you can check the news from the ShiftHub project. And something else related to the continuity, we are now organizing our first demo day for Estonian startups, which will rather take place in January. The ShiftHub project will be completing its operations by end of this year, which means that in case of physical events, it will be out of question to continue using resources that would not exist after the project is over. So having chosen this modality, we can see that there can be continuity, and we can continue with this also in the future. And the overall duration of a demo day, again, here, what I could share with you is that initially they were planned to be daily events, so one full day. And then there were discussions about making it for half a day. And then we thought that no, this would be waste of time. 2 hours should be the absolute maximum. So even if it would be planned to last for 2 hours, but it would last only for 1.5, this is better than having people getting a feeling like they waste their time. So they are registering themselves and then they only appear and attend only 20 minutes of the first presenters, and then they disappear. So keeping it in this way, in a very tight plan, we consider this to be one of the success factors. Yeah, I already said this. Yeah, and the idea now is that we have a 10 minutes presentation about the project, so what Alina did before presenting the ShiftHub project, and then another 10 minutes at the end. So it's not about the project ShiftHub. If people might be interested about the project, they would get in contact with us, but we don't use Demo Day for advertising ourselves or our project. We offer Demo Day as a modality that people should find useful, that has substance to them, and then they will keep in contact with us. They will become members of the community platform of ShiftHub and part of the network. So practice, we again convinced us that this was a good decision, as none from the audience would miss anything, while they would also appreciate the respect to their time. And I think that having said that, this should be my last slide. And we take care so that there is a small number of persons, so it is between 3 to 5. So 3 is the minimum, 5 might be the absolute maximum of presenters every time. And the average time slot that they have is about 20 minutes. And there needs to be something, what I mentioned before, that is demonstrated. So not only PowerPoint slides and stories like in a TEDx talk. The people have to have some convincing starting point for fertile further discussions and collaborations. So that's from my side. I don't know if the idea now is to have questions being asked and answers being given, or this can come at the end.
Thank you very much, Adamantios. Yeah, actually, we would have a dedicated Q&A session now. So if there are already questions from the audience, feel free to raise your hand. If you would like to directly ask a question to Adamantios. Besides that, there is still plenty of room later in the interactive session to continue discussions as well on certain points. Just quickly checking the audience and the chat, but it doesn't look like there is an immediate question. So in regard to the time, I would rather move forward. And due to that, I would like to welcome our second speaker, which is Odysseas Spiroglou. He's an international consultant for innovation technology and R&D at Booster Labs. Odysseas is actually a senior consultant and researcher with over 25 years of experience in research and innovation, foresight, project management, and AI governance. He also supports startups and innovation ecosystems through mentoring, training, and program design, and he has worked extensively in both the public and the private sectors. Over his career, he has contributed to numerous national and international projects, designed training programs on innovation, IPR, and entrepreneurship, and also supported organizations in building effective innovation strategies. And his current interests include AI governance, foresight methodologies, and the future of innovation management. And today he will share his insights on pitching training services. Odysseas, the stage is yours.
Thank you, Arina, so much. I didn't realize that you were going to speak so much about me. So what I'm going to talk today is about pitching and how you should approach pitching, whether you are a startup, or how you should approach pitching if you are supporting a startup. So let me share my screen to make this clear. And yes, here we are. I hope that you can see my screen. Yes?
Yes.
Okay. So before you start pitching, or before you allow a startup that you support to pitch, you should make sure that you ask some hard questions first. And well, this is me, but Alina covered that already. So let's start by asking what is pitching. And we all know, of course, that the idea behind pitching is presenting an idea or a startup to investors, partners, customers. And why this is important? This is important because if you can't explain what you're doing to others, chances are that you cannot explain it to yourself either. And before you pitch anything, your product, your startup, a new idea, you should prepare for that. And you prepare by asking 3 questions. Who are you going to talk to? So who's your audience? It is not the same pitch if you are pitching to investors or if you are pitching to customers. So who are you pitching to? And why are you pitching? Is it because you want to win a new round of investment, or is it because you want to sell a product? So the audience is the first thing that it should be clear to you. And then you should decide what you're going to say. The narrative is important here. You need to tell a story, no matter to who are you presenting. And you need to explain how it started, where it's going, why it's you, and what's in it for your audience. And of course, you need to tell your own story. And to do that, you need to find a hook to capture your audience attention. I realize that this is extremely difficult when you do it online. So now, for instance, I cannot see anybody. Everybody has their camera turned off. I cannot see reactions. I cannot see anything that makes it very difficult to adapt my presentation. But this is where we are, and there will be certainly opportunities that you will have to pitch online as well. So you need to adapt for that as well. And through that, you need to present some proof, use some visual aids, and of course, always practice for the best. So let's suppose that you know all that, and you know what your audience, you know what you want to pitch, you know your goal, and more or less you know your narrative. There are so many cases where startups or entrepreneurs or potential entrepreneurs or innovators have come to us asking money and presenting a problem. But is there really a problem you can fix? Have you identified a problem? And can you explain why it is a problem and for who? Can you describe the unsatisfied need of the customers? And if you can you show how this is addressed today, if it is addressed today? Chances are that it is addressed today one way or another. And I'm saying this because so many times we have seen not solutions to problems, but solutions in search for a problem. And these are just 4 examples, and many of you should remember this. The Amazon Fire Phone, of course. It was the Amazon's attempt to create a smartphone. It came after iPhone and Android, but it failed. It had a high price. The market was already captured by the other players. It was just another product. Why should you buy one? Segway, personal transporter. You may have seen that now they are used only for tourist purposes, but when they were introduced, they were hailed as a revolutionary transportation device, and their technology and the self-balancing innovation was promoted through even the mainstream media. They never caught on with the public, and they were discontinued in 2009. And then you have Coca-Cola, and we all love Coca-Cola. Well, most of us love Coca-Cola, and in 1985 they tried to reformulate, to reintroduce Coca-Cola, and they changed the flavor to something new, and nobody liked it. my favorite one is Juicero. This is one of the new startups, relatively new startups of Silicon Valley, and they introduced this device. It cost $400, and it was a juicer. And the idea was that you would buy prepackaged juices, and you would put that into this machine, and you would drink your juice. But it was overpriced. It was not really utilizing anything, and users quickly realized that you could just buy the packets of the juice, and you could squeeze it without the need of the machine. So there wasn't any problem behind that. It was just a nice device that costed $400 and didn't solve any problem. So remember that you need to identify real needs in the market before developing any new product. So that's before even you decide if you're going to build something. And these products or solutions or services or whatever need to address genuine customer pain points. So you need to respond to a specific need. Now, suppose that you have identified the problem, you know that there is a problem, then you need to come up with a solution. And you need to make sure that there is at least some innovation behind that. Or even if there isn't any innovation, because there are cases where it's not necessarily innovative, it may be new, but it certainly comes with a new value proposition or a unique selling opportunity. And if you don't exactly know what this terminology means, then I have it here for you. But in essence, you need to add some value to whatever there is there. So you need to explain what will be different with your own solution or service. And here I have some successful unique selling propositions from companies that most of us know. Well, we all know Apple, and the success of Apple and the iPod didn't come because of the nice design of the iPod device. It came because they suggested a convenient music experience, something new, something that wasn't there in the first place. The iPod partnering with the iTunes, a new digital music store where you could download even just one song, not the full LP. So they introduced a new experience, a new listening experience. For instance, Hilti is a very old company, and all construction professionals know it. And Hilti specialized in selling equipment. And then they realized that their sales were dropping, and the model needed changes. And they soon realized that the value proposition that they could put in the market was to create a rental leasing solution and maintenance program, because they had the device, but their devices were so good that there wasn't any problem. People and professionals didn't change them as much as they were expecting, but they did paying for maintenance. So they created a whole rental and leasing solution and a preventive maintenance program, and offered the new value proposition to the market. Dell is similar. They created a personalized and cost-effective purchasing experience. Before that, you had to go through a store, you had to go through a third-party seller. They offered their PCs fully customizable through the internet. And Duracell Club, okay, this is a more US related example, but they also provided a new a new subscription model for their razors. Something which is important and we often forget is once you know that you have the solution and you know where you want to go and you imagine that the way forward for your solution is the one that you have in front of you, you need to make sure that there aren't any similar technologies or approaches already in the market. And if they are, you need to know who are the players working on this problem and if anyone else has patented any similar approach. This is what we call the freedom to operate. The freedom to operate is very important for startups, especially nowadays with high technology and deep tech solutions. That many times there is a lot of science behind them. So you need to know, you need to find out if there is any other owner of the solution that you have in mind, somebody who has worked that solution before you and has already established ownership in some part of the ideas that you envision through a patent. It's true, patents are very difficult, they take a lot of time to establish, but let's expand that to any kind of IP. So the idea here is that before you do anything, you should look for the intellectual property of the solution that you have in mind. And if you are using data, then you need also to account for that. If you are submitting, for instance, a proposal under Horizon Europe or EIC, then you need to have a data management plan. And dealing with data includes also privacy, governance, compliance. So these are things that you need to consider if you are working on a solution that involves that. And in smart health, this is also very important because you will probably deal with data of patients, with hospitals, with drugs. So chances are that data will be a strong component of your solution. So you need to make sure that you have that covered in a compliant way. Without this in the middle, so we have identified the problem, we know the solution, we did our research, there isn't anybody behind that, so we are safe, we can operate, we can dig further. This stage, the next stage needs to set the market. So is there a market? And there's always a market and there's always a competition, even if a lot of startups believe that they're the first in the market, that there is no competition. And the most difficult competition is the way that people do things now. So you want to introduce probably a new solution that will change something, but people are doing that anyhow. So when let's say the e-readers were introduced, it's not a very successful example because they didn't disrupt the market as we had expected. People were still reading books. So you need to think about the competition, and you need to research the competition and the market opportunity. And here are some examples of corporations that were leaders of their markets. They were at the top of the market, and they failed to understand the changes. And you may remember Blockbuster, you may remember video rentals. They were the top company of renting videos, video clubs. They failed to see what was coming after them. They became obsolete. They there isn't any single video club now, so we are all streaming. So they were unable to compete with Netflix. And in fact, Netflix started by sending DVDs to customers. Britannica, it's another good example. They were the gold standard of encyclopedias, but they failed to keep pace with digital. So they lost their market to Wikipedia. Sony Walkman, they were the first to revolutionize portable music in the 70s. Again, they weren't able to see the rise of the MP3 player and digital players and what came after them. BlackBerry, another example. They were dominant in the smartphone market long before Apple or Android. But again, they failed to understand that keyboards were not everything in a smartphone. So if you want to take something from here, you need to always watch the market, and you need to understand and address the changing consumer needs. And you need to, of course, to be agile and adaptable and be able to listen to customers and to always embrace innovation. And that brings us to probably the most important question, and maybe you need to ask that before you start working anything. You need to have a strong team. And if you don't have a strong team, you need to create a big team. And you need to create a team that will share a vision so that you will all be able to work together, that will have complementary skills. So not everybody in the team is a developer or a marketeer, but you have skills that complement the team. You share a communication culture. You all want to pass the same more or less message outside, and you are resilient, motivated, and committed. There are some, I have some examples of very successful teams here. I'm not going to say more about that. This is more relevant to pitching for certain programs. Beyond team, but very relevant to the team, is the good corporate governance. Even if you are a startup, even if you are a small company just starting, you need to make sure that you have accountability in place, you have compliance, you have ethical operations. You need to be able to build trust. You may not have shareholders yet, but you certainly will have investors, you will have customers, you will have employees, and you need to have a clear framework for decision making, who decides what, when, and where's the oversight for that. And this is necessary if you want to attract investment, and if you want to make sure that you will put strong pillars for growth and scale up. Some extra information here. I'm sure that we are going to share this presentation for those of you who would like to dig deeper. The employee stock ownership plan, for instance, is something that is not adequately addressed, but it's always required, especially when we examine the maturity of a startup. And basically, it's the way out. It's the employee benefit plan. It includes all these, includes the key benefits of the employees, what you're going to do with the ownership of the company, how you're going to share, to give shares to your employees, and what will happen when your employees will leave the company or will retire. And this is important because it shows the commitment of the company to its team. Finally, once you have all these components, you need to make sure that your message is clear, the narrative is straight, and people can relate with it. It's not as easy as it sounds. and will need a lot of practice. Again, here are some examples of brands who know how to tell a story. Apple, Nike, Amazon. Once it was Google as well. I don't know if it is still under this category. I mean, they are quite established now, but they often fail in the social promise that they gave when they started. Again, some takeaways. You need to share your company's mission and vision and values, and explain how they align with the target market. And you need to maintain this strong vision throughout. You should always remember those that have failed. The examples of failures are far more than the examples of successes, and we often do not pay too much attention for them. And Kodak, of course, they were pioneers in photography, but they lost their way into the digital age. They were never able to create a digital equivalent. Compaq, again, they were the leading computer manufacturer. They lost their position to Dell and HP. They were bought by HP in 2002. Nokia, those of you old enough remember that once we didn't have, we only had Nokias. There weren't any. They had 90% of the market, something like that. And they weren't smartphones, but they were very reliable. And they failed to embrace the smartphone. They weren't able to catch up with the market and the users. And Boeing is another example. They were once a symbol of American technology and American prowess, and they had more than 3 or 4, 2 major accidents and 2 or 3 small accidents, and finally their stock and reputation plummeted. So you only need 10 slides. This is one template that is widely accepted both by the EIC Accelerator and most of the investors. And in these 10 slides, you need to cover everything that you see here and everything that we have discussed so far. So starting from your company, your logo, your name, your mission, the problem and solution, the value proposition, market opportunity, competition, the business model, how you're going to make money, and of course your commercialization, marketing strategy, and finally some financial projections. And you leave the team for the end, where you present who's behind. But actually, the team, as I said, is probably one of the first things that you need to consider. There are plenty of portals and sites and materials to prepare for this, and I particularly like this. You need to learn how others are doing that. Amazon's backwards framework, it's interesting. And Amazon, whenever they want to introduce a new product, they start with the press release. So before even they consider developing anything, they imagine how they are going to explain it to the public. So this is how it starts. And then you can improve, of course, your storytelling through other narrative techniques and storytelling examples. And if you want to see how TED Talks are organized and how TED speakers are prepared, then this is also a really nice resource. So to wrap it up, always think for a solution for a problem and not the other way around. Understand the market and build the selling proposition, build a great team, and then create a brand and tell a captivating story. And for those coaching startups, and for startups as well, pitching is a validation framework for me. This is how I often see it. Is you need to ask the hard questions, and if you are not able to convince yourself or your partners or a close friend, a close set of stakeholders that you believe in, then you're not ready. And it's not static. It is always evolving with you. So new knowledge, new products, new services, new ideas, new cultures should be embedded. It's a starting point. So it's 10 slides. You cannot really understand a lot by, well, you can understand a lot, but it's not everything. So it's a starting point for a deeper analysis and interview. So your pitch deck is a portal. It is where anybody could start. And presenting and pitching is a critical skill, and not just for convincing the venture capitalists or the investors. It's a critical skill for everything. You at the end of the day, you will need to convince your customers. You will need to convince your creditors, your banks, stakeholders. So you need to make sure that it is a skill that you own. And of course, it's not just for investors. And that's it from my side. I'm happy to respond to any questions.
Thank you, Odysseas. Thanks very much. So I will just quickly see if there are any questions. So none in the chat. I currently don't see a hand raised. And in regard to the time, I would just rather continue with our last speaker and then keep the questions maybe for the last Q&A session. Perfect. So now it's my pleasure.
From my side, I liked very much your presentation, Odysseas, and I had some comments, some questions there, or some things that I would like to discuss, but I can keep them for the end. Yeah, thanks.
Thanks, Adamasios. Great. So now it's my pleasure to introduce our last speaker, which is Kostas Karamanis. So welcome, Kostas. Kostas holds a degree in production and management engineering, and currently he's working for the Center for eHealth Applications and Services for Digital Health Transformation in the context of the European Digital Innovation Hub, the Smart Health. Kostas has worked in various large EU collaborative networks, such as the Innovation Relay Centers and the Enterprise Europe Network, and he had various coordinating positions in those, as well as providing active support to numerous recipients concerning here the promotion of innovation, international collaboration, and also advanced advisory. And he was also the national contact point for several thematic areas for the EU framework programs, including energy and space. And today he will share insights from the Smart Health EDIH Test Before Invest services with us. So Kostas, thanks for joining, and we're very much looking forward to your approach. So the stage is yours.
Thank you, Alina, for the invitation. I will shortly explain what a European Digital Innovation Hub is doing. Our hub is called Smart Health. We are dedicated only to the area of the health sector. Our Smart Health Hub is consisted of 10 partners, and most of them are from academia and research. Our approach is based on the successful service provision model of the Enterprise Europe Network. So we copied this model, and we introduced a highly client-centric model in our hub, with the engagement of a key account manager. Key account manager is a person like me that stands between the researcher, the EDIH expert, and the client. Usually these two parties are speaking different languages, and so we introduced my role, the key account manager, in order to be in between and serving for the benefit of the client and the facilitator for the hub expert to provide the test before invest services. So in short, the key account manager, like me, is taking all care for discussions with the client, connecting the client with the expert, and help both sides to come up to a certain action plan for collaboration. Where do we find the clients in our hub? First of all, we collaborate with various stakeholders like clusters, associations, and other Greek EDIHs, also the Enterprise Europe Network. In this way, we complement our roles in order to find proper clients for our hub. We also organize and participate in a large number of events in the health sector. So more or less everybody in Greece knows about our hub and our services. So we are coming to the implementation of the test before invest services. Our hub is rather successful because we have a little less than 100 clients in 2.5 years that are receiving services from us. Of those, 15 coming from the public sector. And we have 56 more clients in the pipeline. They want us to serve them, and we will do this in the current and in the future project that we are now preparing. The test before invest services that we provide are divided into subcategories that I'm going to explain right away. The first subcategory is the demonstration and proof of concept. In this subcategory, clients coming to us in order to validate, to assess their technology. This is this is a service that is easy to sell, and we act like technical advisors. And I have two examples from the software area, because my department is developing software for the health sector. The first company is BioNTech, and this company is developing a software for calculating the safe dose of radiation that a child can handle, can receive. So they have the expertise for developing this software, but they don't know anything. They didn't know anything about healthcare software. So they came to us and we explained to them. We assessed first their software, and we explained to them what to do about interoperability, certification, cybersecurity. On the right side of the screen, we have one more company dealing with radiation, but for radiation safety. The little device that you see on the doctor in yellow is an active dosimeter. The active dosimeter warns the employee about the level of radiation received, and in the same time, in real time, it transmits this signal on a platform. The platform is a health software that also needed to be assessed concerning the interoperability with other medical systems, the cybersecurity, the privacy of information within the platform to follow the GDPR. So in both cases, we provided technical consultancy how these two clients to fulfill the requirements in the healthcare sector. The second category of test before invest services is the fostering integration. In this service, we help clients that they need to adopt a digital technology that it's not easy to found on the shelf. In this case, we act like technical consultancy again in order to form the requirements and design the expected product or service. I have two examples again from the software world, that two companies came to us with the need to develop two platforms. The first one was for home caregiving, and the second one was for cancer treatment, a diary system for patients undertaking treatment for cancer. In both cases, we provided consultancy for designing the preferred platform. We discussed about the requirements, and we delivered to them two reports, and those two reports can be handed out to a software company that could develop these platforms with ease. And another subcategory is the testing and experimentation. In this case, we help our clients to test and experimentate with technology. Here we act as collaborators for providing expertise, premises, infrastructure, and the knowledge about science and technology. I have one example with the company BioNTech. They design and produce FEI benchtop preclinical imaging systems, and they wanted to develop new features and enhance the performance of the scanners. So one of these scanners moved to our premises in Crete, and we helped them to test and develop these features, and we also help them as technical advisors for processing the outcome of the scanners in order to increase the performance. And a last subcategory is our flagship services that combine all of the above services into one case. I have many examples. I will stay to the first one. For one hospital in Greece, that first they wanted to build a registry for arthroplasties, in order to be used as a national registry. So we helped them to develop this. We defined the requirements, and we provided also the design. And we also helped this hospital to standardize the clinical data that they store, and then this allowed them to participate in Darwin EU Data Network and now they are in position to get clinical participation into clinical testing, because their data are conforming some standards. And about precision medicine, we provided service to the Stem Cell Bank of Crete for creating a prototype for histocompatibility digital exchange system from donors to recipients. These are very large, required a lot of work for us, but we provided almost ready products to be used by the cell bank and the public hospital. So some insights from our activity. What we do is that we promote our success stories with our clients to prospective clients. This is an excellent way for our next our future clients to understand what we do, and in this way we persuade them positively to collaborate with us. We also collaborate with other hubs in sharing good practices or other networks, and we're eager to collaborate. We have received a lot of awards for our activity, and also we have published a survey about our services. And a second insight is that after the delivery of our services, almost all of our clients increase their digital readiness by 7 points, as this is measured by the European Commission. And the majority of our clients would pay to get our services. So with this, we are very positive that also in our next phase of our digital innovation hub, we are going to have again a lot of clients and happy clients with our services. I am at your disposal for questions. I'm done with the presentation, and I am at your disposal for questions that you may have.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Costa. So thanks for sharing the insights on your service system methodology and also your customer success stories. So for me, it was really interesting and quite impressive, I have to say. So congratulations for that. I actually have a follow-up question directly, because I'm wondering, how do you follow up with your clients after the services? So is there a regular check-in schedule, or is that rather by demand? Because I know that it can be sometimes troublesome to, I'd say, keep in touch with them thereafter and engage them for further services. So is there something, I'd say, a scheduled setup in your hub, or how do you deal with that?
Yes, we are in contact with our clients in a regular basis, because we are also providing to them also other services like funding opportunities, networking. We collaborate with Enterprise Europe Network. So we get in touch with our clients constantly, and we are very happy because we have the chance to service them again in the next phase. So we are in a constant communication for opportunities, and we are very happy because the most promising Greek companies and hospitals are receiving services from us. So the provision of services will have a lot of time in front of us to do many things. We don't stop in the provision of the test before invest services until we see that the company doesn't need us any longer. We are proud because recently one of our company received more than 1 million euros in funding, also thanks from our services to provide them a service for developing their pitching to investors.
Yeah, great, thanks. Would also like to give the floor to the others to ask questions to Kostas, and maybe also to our other speakers. We have a few minutes before we move on with our next session. Doesn't look like that so far. Adamantis, you mentioned that you had a question earlier.
Yes. Yes, and I will ask it now to Odysseas. Odysseas, you had some slide there about the failures of BlackBerry, the failures of Walkman. The thing is that from at least our perspective in ShiftHub, we invest in people that have something to offer. a new idea, a new product. But even in case of the failure stories that you mentioned there, the idea is that even if you have a product that no one wants to currently buy anymore, like a BlackBerry phone, there may still be a market for you. So you have to reposition yourself, find some other partners to make an alliance. So the idea there is that if we nurture people, and especially young people, students, young researchers, with an idea that they have to win or present themselves as winners, and this really insane and unhealthy attitude of fake it till you make it, it's not a good culture, because at the end people can simply present themselves and what they know, what they can do. So it's not about, winning impressions and then think there that actually you have a very weak team, or but I understand that the perspective of the demo days is to offer space for people to present things. From your side, it's about a more stressed context of convincing people to invest their money on them. So in this respect, it's not that we have to kill one of the two approaches, but it's good also to understand there that we can still offer people a space without having a feeling there that they have to do some speed dating or speed matchmaking. Yeah.
Yeah. So one thing that I said from the beginning is that the idea of pitching is the same regardless of who you are pitching to. So if you want to pitch in a demo day, obviously the target audience is different than when you pitch in a hackathon or in an investment day. So in a demo day, you are demoing your product, and you need to present your product, and you need to explain why your product works. So what I presented is an overset. There are 10 or maybe 15 slides that are needed in the pitch to be complete, but that doesn't mean that smaller versions of the same pitch cannot be used for other purposes. So if you go to the demo day, obviously you don't want to explain to the stakeholders or to the audience there the market or your business plan to the market. They don't care about that. They may be potential customers. You are talking to hotels, you are talking to health professionals. So the approach is different. And you need to keep that in mind, but the principles remain the same. Now, regarding failures and successes, I mean, in every single meeting, we all acknowledge the difference in culture. So European culture is different than the culture in the States. We are much less prone to extreme, much more careful with money, much more praising success. We don't embrace failure. In the States, failure is not the problem. The more times you have failed, the better, maybe for an investor, because it shows that you have tried and you know better. In Europe, our culture is still different. We want to see success before you commit. I hope that this will change, but at the same time that we have created some schemes, we have created some safer environments, and ShiftUp, for instance, and the tools that ShiftUp presents is one of these safer environments for these startups. So we try to nurture startups. We try to create a safer environment for them before they are allowed to go to scale up and to grow or face more difficult problems or go to a round of more money that they may need. So yes, it is a difference in culture, and it is something that we need to address. At the same time, more or less principles are the same.
Actually, what I am really hating and I'm allergic with it is this mentality, or this mindset of wanting to educate people, to captivate the audience, to seduce the audience, to present things in a fascinating way, and losing the opportunity to provide some meaningful, substantial information. Yeah. And this is like a plug. So you can see also students who present their thesis or their project like they are talking to a TEDx audience. So this is the thing there, that at some point it's good if you let other people know what exactly you have built, so that it's up to them to see how they can engage you in fundraising, research ventures, or commercial ventures. But this might be also part of the workshop, so we should not elaborate
Exactly.
on it at all.
that is actually the perfect transition. So you already started a discussion on the things you would like to discuss with you about. And this is actually part of our interactive session. So basically, in that session, we would like to together identify key challenges in implementing these services, also explore the opportunities and the success factors to really enhance their effectiveness, and also uncover, let's say, the critical elements that are needed to ensure their long-term impact. And we already covered some of them in the presentations and in discussions, so I think will be really good to continue with that. And basically, to guide the discussions a bit, we will be using like this dedicated value mapping method to identify and to evaluate different values which are captured, destroyed, and missed, as well as opportunities for sustainability, and also the impact of the services. And for each of these values, we kind of have a leading question, which is provided, which help us to identify the key challenges, and also to come up then with ideas on how these values could be improved. Originally, we have planned to work on these questions in smaller groups, but due to the number of participants and the time, we would rather stay within one group and discuss all together. And I will be guiding us basically now through the questions. So all our other speakers that volunteered as moderators for the smaller groups, you're welcome to participate in the discussions as speakers. So you basically can lay back and I will do the moderation for now. And yeah, now I welcome everyone to provide input and discuss. We will be using the Miro board for this session. So we have set up a small, I'd say, input selection there. The chat, the link can be found in the chat. So now you can access that, but I will also share my screen and show the board. And then we'll just openly discuss and fill in the board. Just give me a second to change the windows. You should see the board now. Is that correct? Okay, perfect.
Yes.
See some heads nodding. Thanks. Okay, so I think something. Okay, Leonie just corrected the format. So basically, we would like to start with the very first question to identify values captured. And that relates to elements of current test before invest practices that are generating positive outcomes. So basically, what are the values what are the things that are currently implemented quite well? And how this is working, you can basically just drag and drop one of the sticky notes. One of the sticky notes like this, and then just start writing what value you think is are currently well and create positive outcomes. if you don't have access to the board, you can also just comment in the chat or just raise your hand or basically just unmute yourself and yeah, tell me what you think should be put into the board and I will just put it there. So I will just suggest that we will work like for a minute or so, everyone thinks about that and then we'll just discuss openly. And the link is also in the chat already. So I will also put in some ideas myself. Also feel free if you don't have access just to, yeah, unmute yourself and tell me what to enter. That's no problem at all. Or just write it in the chat.
And maybe one comment, please take the board on the right side. I will soon delete the other ones, just that we are not confused that we are all working on the same board. Because as far as I see, some people are working on different boards. I will delete the other boards soon, so please make sure that you are all working on the one on the right side. But of course, I will be sure that nothing is inserted from your side and deleted. So if so, I will just transfer it to the third board, just that you're aware of.
These are basically leftovers from our smaller setup of the smaller groups. I think I'll just have another minute and then we can discuss our first question already. That might be the one, the most obvious. I think I'll just, we can start with the first question. I see that there is some notes popping up. So I wrote down network opportunities and market visibility because I think that these are values, I'd say the most obvious for the demo days. So of course, when you go out there and you pitch your presentations to VCs, to the end users, you get market visibility for your innovation. And of course that I'd say, yeah, induces collaborations and further discussions with the end users. So that is like market opportunities. But yeah, let me know your thoughts and what you have entered. If anyone wants to comment on their notes?
So maybe I can continue. So I have integrated the early validation of ideas. We have also heard, for example, from Odyssea's talk that it's very important to meet the market needs and not to have an idea generated, which, yeah, there are no customers or no need for in the market, because then you will not have any kind of success. So here it is very nice to have that kind of early validation on the one hand to test your product with real end users and also to get their feedback, what kind of aspects are currently missing or what is working good. etc.
I see that basically the other, I'd say, notes cover the same as well. So attract potential investors, or also the beta group testing that also aligns well with the early stage insights. So basically, I'd say the highest value created from these methodologies, I'd say, is to put your idea out there early and get feedback from the people that either invest money or should be using your innovation, because that, of course, accelerates the development process and, let's say, also long-term success of your ideas. So I think we're pretty much aligned on that. So I would rather go to the next one, which is a bit more critical, focusing on the values destroyed. So in regard, to better the services, you always have to identify the challenges and the limitation, and also maybe unintended negative effects that come with these services. So from your point of view, what are the main challenges, or maybe also, I'd say, aspects that have people hesitate to participate in such events? So we also have already one about compromise of IP. If you put your idea into the public, which of course is I'd say, a very crucial aspect to consider. So I think maybe Odysseas, you have put that there, and you're also, I'd say, an expert in the IP R management sector. So what would also be your, I'd say, suggestion to kind of minimize that risk? Could you comment on that?
Odysseas, if you need some time, I can help you, because what I had in mind to provide there is the value destroyed might be to build wrong or suboptimal value chains. What I mean is that imagine there that you build some innovation like World Wide Web in CERN, and then having Tim Berners-Lee asking for his project that we are all thankful today to his boss, and his boss might have told him, look, this is out of scope of our core research, which is about physics. End of story. And in that respect, so to position innovations or research outcomes in the wrong value chain, or to have missed opportunities by not opening your innovation into contexts that might be more willing. And this might not necessarily be in some other market. It might be simply like that a company from Bulgaria or Turkey might have an innovation. In their country, they might not have the potential, or they may have, for some reason, not attracted interest. And then they can still go and collaborate with entities like in Forth with Konstantinos Karamanis, or in some other country like Germany with Steinbeis. So this is the thing there, that someone might find potential for success in other areas. Yeah.
I will respond to Alena's comment on IP, because this is a question that I hear a lot. And in fact, sometimes people are reluctant to discuss even a simple idea of a project proposal, because they fear that somebody may steal the idea. Everybody has ideas, and often the ideas are the same. It's the implementation that counts. So nobody should be fear of presenting their ideas in the public. Unless, of course, we're talking about, the $1 million idea. I have seen only very few such ideas, counted maybe in one finger. And usually this comes from very big established companies that when they decide to do something, they do it anyway. So even if you had this idea, you wouldn't be able to implement it. So I'll give you an example. The one-click button, the idea of Amazon. It's an idea that even if you had this idea, you wouldn't be able to implement it. You don't have the means, you don't have the the infrastructure, you don't have the platform. So even if you had such a brilliant idea, and in Europe you cannot patent ideas, in the United States you can, in a way, patent some more vague ideas than Europe. It wouldn't matter. It's nothing. I mean, if it is the implementation always that counts. So you shouldn't, companies and startups and innovators shouldn't fear of sharing their ideas. Having that said, of course, you always need to protect your intellectual property and make sure that we have a regime in place that does that, and you never share everything. Okay, you share ideas. I mean, it's measured. You share the ideas as long as others share their ideas as well. So you don't go in a demo day and you reveal everything unless there is a need to. But you do an initial pitch, and if you see that there are potential customers and their interest is valid, say hospital, then you will, of course, need to dig deeper and explain more about the technical aspects of the solution.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're absolutely right. While you were saying that, kind of another, I'd say, limitation popped up to my mind, because if you, or often with the demo days, sometimes only market ready or close to market ready ideas are presented due to being afraid of your IP or sharing your idea too soon. And that, of course, then comes with a selection bias in the demo days, that only already market ready solutions are presented, which also limits, I'd say, collaboration and innovation potential as well.
Well, it depends. It depends on, let's say, on the scope of a demo day. So we have instruments like innovation procurement, for instance, and it's widely used in health. Okay, so in innovation procurement, you don't have the solution. You may have an idea for a solution. So at that stage, you need to present just the idea that may lead to a solution, and even then, you do not know if this solution will be successful. But you are at an earlier stage, and you compete on the level of ideas. You do not compete on a level of ready-made solutions. So, you can't bring a knife to a gunfight. So, if the demo day is about final products, then you need to bring some final products. You cannot go there with just an idea. On the other hand, if it's a hackathon or an innovation procurement demo or an earlier level, let's say, pitching event, then yes, at that stage, you need to go with the idea. Now, is it safe to reveal your idea? It depends. You need to judge about that. I would assume that if you have such an idea, you are in a better position to implement that versus some others. So again, you need to measure how much information you're going to reveal.
Yeah, that's true. And you mentioned it now quite often, I'd say, as maybe it's quite obvious to you, but I think that another important point to highlight is to really have, I'd say, topic-wise demo days or pitching sessions where you focus on different categories like the procurement or later stages or things like that. Or, for example, demo days, are you presenting to investors, so it's more pitching, or are you presenting to end users, because also the target audience is different. So I think that I'd say some kind of individualization or tailoring the pitch or the presentation is really key to having a successful event, and also good feedback. because otherwise you might not get good feedback and only have a superficial evaluation or such. So I think that this is something that maybe goes for the value opportunities, like to have tailored events or sessions towards the target audience or I'd say the type of innovation that are presented.
Yeah, exactly. It's always different. That's why you need to make sure that the audience is catered and they're kind of unique of what they need to hear. So it's totally different. Investors need to hear different things than customers, than stakeholders, than policymakers, than the audience. So events should be, let's say, customized towards these needs.
Yeah, definitely. So we kind of already covered other values as well. I see that like people were working quite a lot on the other sections, so we'll just maybe cover them as well. So summarizing the values, with values, we're basically referring to opportunities, resources, and stakeholder contributions that are currently so basically everything that is underutilized or overlooked currently. And just looking at the notes, we see that health economist aspects are sometimes not considered from the beginning, which of course is also a crucial part to have a look at that, I'd say, wholeheartedly. Maybe whoever put that there can comment also further on that if I might not have gotten that right. And that also long-term tracking sometimes is missing. This was also my question that was I was referring to Kostas earlier, that sometimes I'd say it's hard to follow up on the companies, and Adamantis mentioned that in his talk as well, that you maybe in one day, one event have really good participation, and then maybe just I'd say the startups' ideas go somewhere else, or their motivation, and then the long-term tracking is not possible, or there are restricted resources, I'd say, on the hub side or on the service provider side to really do that long-term tracking. So I think that these are things that are also often underutilized, that when once improved could create more benefit as well. Also see that like the links with the regional innovation ecosystems are often underutilized, and this is what we actually hear a lot also from our users in the hub, which is specialized on smart health, that engagement of users, I'd say patients or hospitals, healthcare providers, is sometimes really hard to get because especially for the healthcare providers and I'd say the nurses or practitioners, they, of course, have limited time. They're heavily occupied in the hospital and healthcare. So they might not have resources left for, I'd say, innovation-specific engagement or so. So this is also something that we sometimes struggle with, to engage them as well. So if anyone has a good approach on that, on how to include them, I'm happy to hear that and get some insights on that as well. But just, from our side, I can definitely say that this is sometimes a tough challenge. So this is definitely something that is currently underutilized, I'd say, on our side. Okay, just looking at the time, or maybe we'll just go to the others as well. For the values opportunities, there's actually a lot put in. So the values opportunities are the key aspects that should be prioritized or strengthened, ideally to include these services. And we see a lot to understand more the market demands and the needs, of course, to have that represented more, because this is basically also the feedback you're looking for in such demo days or the test before invest strategies, to understand the market needs and demands, to align the strategies with that. And also, establish avenues for feedback. So that is, I'd say, a bit more structured. And also the enhanced user recruitment, I would kind of put that in the same corner as well, because you need the users recruited in the to get their feedback. Oops, what is happening? Yeah, and we also put the, wait, where's the board going? Okay, it doesn't matter. We just lost the background. So basically, and also the things I mentioned before, so the targeted presentations, yeah, are there as well. Someone wants to add anything? So a lot of that is about stakeholder inclusion, have it broader, and just, yeah, I'd say include them a bit better in the demo days to get better feedback on needs and demands. And then the last part is the value for sustainability and impact. So here we basically wanted to discuss the critical factors that enable the long-term sustainability. So what should be implemented to ensure that the services create long-term impact and also remain sustainable over time. So I think like basic essential is always clear governance and coordination to provide the services. I think that goes without a saying. And we've heard that quite a lot, establishing follow-up methods to follow up with the users as well. And also, as always, to evaluate the services and increase their quality. And I also see something on knowledge sharing. And this is basically what we wanted to provide also with this workshop today, to get together like providers for these services and share the knowledge on how to implement and how to create better value for the users, and just get together and discuss these things and learn from each other approaches, because I think that this is really important also to foster the exchange between the providers, so that not everyone is doing their own thing on their own approach, but just to create more values for the, I'd say, entire ecosystem, and yeah, everyone interested in that. We also have a note on diverse funding sources to ensure sustainable operations. Also a good critical point. So of course, there needs to be funding for the services to be provided. Public as well as private could be suitable here. That accounts for us because we're a publicly funded European project. And of course, we want our services to be provided even after our funding has ended. So this is a crucial point for us as well. There's another point on supportive and integrative ecosystem to strengthen the adoption potential. I'm not sure who put that, I would kind of interpret that as having all the ecosystem stakeholders involved, and not only investors or only users, to really bring them together to bring the innovation to the market and not have it somewhere lost in the development process. But please, whoever wrote that, please add to that or correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah, and then again, a similar note, I'd say adaptive approach to align with the ecosystem's needs. So that also goes without a saying. So feedback should be provided on the services as well to see if they really fit the needs of the ecosystem and that they provide value for the users. And I think with that, we kind of have a good basis also for us to summarize that and kind of give some best practice recommendation on these services as well. And I think if no one has anything or would like to add here, we can go back to I'd say the workshop. So as we had one group now, there is no need to get together and summarize the findings, because I think that's basically what I already did. But nevertheless, I would just like to thank everyone that participated today. Also, from my side, I think that it was like, I'd say a great exchange, and also great to hear more about the pitch training and also the insights that Kostas has shared with us from the EDIH. And I hope that also our audience was able to gain some valuable practical insights and expand your expertise also on the Test Before Invest services and impact. I've already mentioned that it's always good, or I'd say crucial, to evaluate your services. So we would also like to kindly ask you to provide your feedback on today's workshop via this anonymous survey here. You can either do it by now, clicking at the link in the chat, which we would prefer as everything is quite fresh currently, or you can also find the link in our follow-up email, in which we will also share the recording. And yeah, if you're interested in learning more about the project and future ShiftUp events, we invite you to join our community and have a look at there. There will be a couple of series of events coming up soon, such as our webinar on European health data spaces, which is organized together with the RACE project, or the demo day that Adamantios just mentioned. And you will also find all information on our website or our LinkedIn account, where we regularly share some updates. And then I would just like to thank again all our speakers for sharing your experiences and the best practices, as well as participating in today's workshop and sharing your insights, as well as, of course, to the entire audience for participating and listening. And yeah, we hope to see you soon in one of our other events. And other than that, feel free to reach out to us or to our speakers anytime, and hope to see you soon.